Hymn to Freedom, the final movement of Le Van Khoa's Symphony Vietnam 1975, is an orchestral narration of a torrential period in Vietnam's history. It reflects the anguish of Vietnamese in wartime, their uncertainty while being forced to escape from their homeland, and their burning desire for freedom. It was the first time a Vietnamese symphony was performed internationally by orchestras in Kiev, Ukraine, Melbourne, Australia, California, Massachusetts, and Virginia, United States. These artistic achievements are a direct result of Le Van Khoa's tireless efforts to contribute to his culture and country in photography and music for over 60 years. Looking back at the 1950s and 60s, people from South Vietnam recall a peaceful land, a flourishing society under a republic regime, and most importantly, a cultural and educational system based on humanity, nationalism, and liberty. The fourth movement of Symphony Vietnam 1975 channels the beauty of the Full Moon Festival of South Vietnam in the 1950s and 60s. Saigon was once the capital of South Vietnam and named Pearl of the Far East. In a similar manner, the city of Can Tho was considered the Pearl of Vietnam's southwest. Le Van Khoa was born on June 10, 1933 in Can Tho and grew up relishing in the beauty of a region filled with abundant, peaceful rivers. The loss of his mother at a young age left Le Van Khoa with a staggering void in his life. He was raised by his father, an educated and humble pastor, to live a good Christian life.
Bà mẹ tôi mắc một cái chứng bệnh mà thuốc men chạy không được thì phải đưa lên nhà thương Chợ Rẫy. Thì bác sĩ cũng trình bày cái sự thật là không có thuốc để mà trị cho hết. Thì tôi nhớ trước khi mà chết, mẹ tôi có căn dặn bố tôi phải ráng làm sao cho con cái nó học hành đến nơi đến chốn. Rồi mẹ tôi qua đời, một cái kích động rất lớn ở trong cái tuổi thơ của tôi. Tôi cảm thấy hận đời. Tại sao mẹ tôi phải chết? Rồi chiến cuộc tràn lan, rồi phải di tản khỏi Cần Thơ. Rồi sau đó tôi theo ông anh cả đi xuống Sóc Trăng. Rồi sau đó bố tôi mới được lời kêu gọi, cho nên bố tôi mới lên Sài Gòn để mà làm việc cho giáo hội.
Le Van Khoa plunged into adult life as a young teenager in the midst of an escalating war, trading innocence for maturity as an increasing number of troops from the north invaded the south. The 20-year lifespan of the Republic of Vietnam mirrored the 20-year period where Le Van Khoa engaged in various social and cultural activities, including children's education, religious work, photography, and music.
Khi mẹ tôi chết, tôi xa lánh. Sau đó cái mình mới hồi tâm. Tự nhiên tôi có ra một cái sự liên đới nào đó giữa thân phận mình và thân phận của những em bé mồ côi kia.
Lê Văn Khoa saw the plight of children who lost their families at war and were forced to wander the streets of Saigon. He cared deeply for them and frequently visited the unfortunate young victims in orphanages and juvenile detention centers. His book, How to Teach Children, was published in 1970. In it, he writes, "Childhood is the most pitiful and precarious age. I have met hundreds of children whose homeless, jobless existences led to robbery, pilfering, and street fighting."
Tôi đi vào trại giáo hóa ở trại Tế Bằng Chánh Hưng làm việc với các em. Tôi nói chuyện với các em và các em nào cũng có vẻ rất là cởi mở.
In the hopes of finding effective guidance for these children, Lê Văn Khoa implemented a new teaching method at a Christian elementary school. After that first step, he launched the Kids World TV show in October of 1967 on Channel 9 of Vietnam television.
Khi mà đài truyền hình đề nghị tôi làm bất cứ chương trình nào, tôi xin làm chương trình cho thiếu nhi.
In this innovative program, children were instructed to explore the world of science through games and experiments. Lê Văn Khoa's Kids World became one of the most popular television shows of its time and was considered an effective way to educate children. Professor Nguyễn Thanh Liêm commented on Lê Văn Khoa's education program for children. He was born with a special gift for teaching, and his classes on television reflected his philosophies and methods. The kind of knowledge he imparted to his students was very practical, something their schools did not provide. Mr. Liu Anh Tuấn recalls the effect of Lê Văn Khoa's Kids World show. As there were no science labs in our schools at the time, students like us could only learn from theoretical understandings. Lê Văn Khoa performed scientific experiments and explained the steps on his Kids World show. That immensely helped to educate younger generations.
Tôi muốn các em đi xa hơn nữa, đi vào tương lai. Cho nên tôi có xuất bản sách, thí dụ như là khoa học thực nghiệm, để hướng dẫn các em những cái khoa học mà các em có thể làm được. Vì tôi hy vọng rằng những cái điểm đó sẽ giúp cho các em để các em khám phá thêm. Chứ không phải đó là cái tột đỉnh. Cái giai đoạn mà hỏa tiễn hay là phản lực vì đối Việt Nam chúng ta còn quá mới. Tôi xuất bản cái quyển sách phản lực và hỏa tiễn để cho các em hiểu hỏa tiễn là cái gì, phản lực là cái gì. Tôi ao ước là làm sao giúp cho các em vươn cao, vươn xa, và đó các em mới là cái tương lai của quốc gia. Hội họa thì hồi trước ở Việt Nam tôi có tổ chức nhiều cuộc thi hội họa thiếu nhi, và tôi cũng đã gửi tranh của các em đi thi tranh hội họa thiếu nhi quốc tế, và nhiều em đã chiếm giải thưởng lớn của UNESCO.
Mr. Phạm Quốc Bảo was a member of Saigon University Students' Organization, who joined with Japanese students for a large-scale art exhibition at the Tokyo National Museum in 1967. He recalls that many children's paintings and sculptures were provided by Lê Văn Khoa. Mainichi Shimbun, a Japanese newspaper, wrote about the exhibition of Vietnamese children's paintings. Rarely have we seen such an art exhibition from a country that reaps the benefit of influence from the West while still manifesting its modernized originality from the East. In recognition of his contributions to South Vietnam's culture and arts, the Ministry of National Education, the Ministry of Information, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff awarded Lê Văn Khoa first and second class medals and an honor award, in education and psychological warfare. Le Van Khoa was also editor-in-chief of Thời Triệu publishing house, which specialized in books on religion and family education.
Có lần thì ảnh đưa tôi đến chỗ nhà của ảnh ở. Thật ra nói cái nhà thì nó không có đúng. Ở đó là cái nhà in của cái giáo hội Tin Lành ở ngay cái góc Phú Nhuận đó. Ảnh đưa tôi lên trên cái gác ở. Trời đất ơi, tôi thấy cái cuộc sống ảnh rất là đơn sơ. Ảnh ở trên gác ảnh trải cái mấy miếng giấy đó, ảnh làm cái giường của ảnh nằm trên đó. Người ngoài thì có thể nhìn ảnh thấy ảnh cuộc sống rất là có lẽ cô đơn lắm. Nhưng mà với vợ chồng tôi thì anh ấy là một người có sức sống rất là mạnh mẽ.
The Republic of Vietnam's policy of religious freedom made South Vietnam a land for the coexistence and development of different beliefs. It provided an added enhancement in their society's morals and values. The sacred beliefs bestowed upon Le Van Khoa by his father, a pastor, helped him overcome obstacles in life and followed him through various social activities and artistic endeavors. In his book, Teaching Children, children should acclimate themselves to the reverent, purifying atmosphere of the cathedral, where they receive a source of hope that might help alleviate the sufferings they encounter in life. As a longtime devotee to the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Le Van Khoa was the main contributing author to the church hymnal and also served as director of the choir. There were no art schools in South Vietnam during the 1950s. To study the arts, students had to go to Hanoi. École supérieure des beaux-arts de l'Indochine, 1925 to 1945. The Indochina College of Fine Arts in Hanoi, Vietnam. The wave of migrants from the north in 1954 brought to the south a large number of artists who were victims of a regime that stifled their freedom of expression. That period marked the emergence of many artistic photography associations in South Vietnam, including KBC, Vietnamese American Photo Club, Đình Võ, Nghĩa An, Văn Chanh, and many more. Then came the 1960s, when traffic was disrupted by war. Photographers more advanced in age were reluctant to travel. To encourage young and active photographers, Le Van Khoa started the Artistic Photography Association in 1968, which met the increasing demand for photographers in South Vietnam. The Artistic Photography Association was a fast-growing group. After the seminal announcement on television, it received admission forms from all around the country and branched out into many cities. The highest number of awards won by members of the association led the press to call it the richest photographers group. Since 1968, the President's National Literature and Arts Prizes were awarded biennially by the government of the Republic of Vietnam. Le Van Khoa received 2 prizes in music composition and Photography in 1968. He was appointed chair of the selection board for photography in 1970. Le Van Khoa won 16 awards from 1963 to 1968. Besides the images he captured of war, his landscape photographs showed the world a different side of his beautiful country. Le Van Khoa's photographic works can be divided into three genres: classic photography, photography requiring special darkroom techniques, and digital photography, which he aptly calls, "Do you see what I see?" In Up in the Hills, grafting techniques are used to give the impression of two lactating breasts, an abstract visual representation of his motherland, Vietnam. Photographs with imagery effects require more complex darkroom techniques.
Kỹ thuật phòng tối lúc bây giờ thì chúng ta chỉ có làm hình trắng đen mà thôi. Bây giờ làm hình á thì nó có nhiều cái loại giấy, tùy theo cái đâm sắc của cái bản của mình để mà mình ứng dụng thế nào để cho nó ra cái hình ảnh cho đẹp, và những cách pha thuốc tăng hoặc là giảm. Đó là nhiếp ảnh gia Nguyễn Bá Mậu của Đà Lạt, nhiếp ảnh gia Lão Thành, Phạm Văn Mười và cá nhân tôi. Và nhờ cái kỹ thuật đặc biệt của phòng tối là phân sắc độ, chớp sáng, rồi tôi pha lẫn cả phân sắc độ với chớp sáng, rồi xoay ảnh nữa. Tất cả những cái đó thực hiện trong phòng tối. Vào thập niên 1960, 60 ngoài thì cái đó là cái gì quá ư mới mẻ trong khi thế giới chưa có computer.
Anh Khoa có một cái
What's special about Khoa is that he only used photography for his works, strictly photographic. But when you looked at his photographs, you might think they were paintings. The end of the 20th century coincided with the end of photographic darkroom techniques. Even the world's largest film and photo printing manufacturer, Kodak, had to adapt in the advent of digital photography. Le Van Khoa's concept of abstract photography, initiated in the late 60s with his breast engorgement photograph, has kept pace with the modern movement, which can be seen in his current most period of photography, Do You See What I See? Le Van Khoa arrived in the United States at the age of 42. He started his new life working on a farm in Maryland.
Đây là Discerning, nơi mà tôi đã sống cái mùa đông đầu tiên ở trên nước Mỹ 1975.
An American doctor recognized Le Van Khoa's talent and introduced him to Salisbury State College, Maryland, where he taught photography and exhibited his photographic works in many states in 1976 and 1977. John Broad Peters, one of 10 American art critics to receive media awards in the news, wrote about Le Van Khoa in his article. The piece was titled Vietnam Through Vietnamese Eyes and was published in the St. Louis Globe-Democrat on Sunday, July 24th, 1977. It has this to say: Khoa's photography displays a bittersweet delineation of survival in a land of bewildering contrasts, where awareness is heightened and intensified by the continual, close, and unpredictable companionship of life and death. Le Van Khoa was the only Vietnamese photographer to be selected for an exhibition entitled Five from the Eastern Shore at the Baltimore Museum of Art. This exhibition toured the eastern seaboard for an additional 2 years. All other submissions selected came from American painters. 6 of his works are still preserved at the museum today. After he left the East Coast to travel west, Le Van Khoa worked with former members to reinvigorate the Artistic Photography Association. Their inaugural West Coast convention was held in Anaheim, California in 1981. Their activities have since flourished all over the United States with many impressive exhibitions. We are at the Laguna Art Museum in California, where 3 groups of artists have presented their works in a 1997 exhibit entitled 3 Views of Vietnam. Le Van Khoa's photographs have caught the attention of viewers, and 2 of his submissions, Rescue and Into the Whirlwind, are heralded by the Los Angeles Times. The Artistic Photography Association is ranked among world's top 10 winners at the Trierenberg Super Circuit and Altani International Photographic Competitions. The APA also won gold medals for the Best Photography Group, both Austrian contests, for many consecutive years. These annual competitions consistently receive over 30,000 entries from contestants worldwide. I think what best reflected Khoa's deep love for his country was a photograph collection before 1975. Back then, Vietnam was only known to the world as a land of war and death. To counter that misconception, the Minister of State Culture consulted with Khoa and asked him to make 3 sets of photographs for worldwide exhibition.
3 bộ ảnh để gửi đi đến thế giới để nói về những cái đẹp của quê hương Việt Nam qua những cái mái nhà.
His photographs showed the beauty of landscapes and people in Vietnam, the thatched roof cottages, old ladies, the children going to classrooms in the ruins of war. Each and every photo exuded his love for his country.
Sau 40 năm,
40 years later, Khoa is still following the same journey he chose from the beginning. From his days of youth in Vietnam and into the present, of all constituents of the arts, Le Van Khoa devotes most of his time and energy to music. Besides his special gift, luck played a part in connecting him to music.
Tôi lượm được một cuốn sách về âm nhạc, tôi về tôi đọc, tôi nghiên cứu. Tôi vẽ những phím đen, phím trắng giống như cái mặt bàn piano ở trên cái bàn, rồi mình khỏ tay. Mà trong khi khỏ tay như vậy, mình ráng tưởng tượng ra cái âm thanh. Một hôm, ở trong nhà thờ, có cái đàn piano, mình bị cám dỗ quá. Mà khi cái tay đặt vô cái phím đàn, nó phát ra tiếng làm tôi giật mình. Bây giờ tôi mới nghe cái âm thanh thật. Khi mà tôi nhìn lên làm tôi hoảng hốt. Bởi vì đó là bà giáo sĩ, bà là cái người đánh đàn chánh thức cho nhà thờ. Xong cái buổi lễ rồi, bà nói đến thì bà dạy cho bà không lấy tiền. Đó là bà giáo sĩ Evelyn Wallace. Cái biến cố 54, nhạc sĩ ở miền Bắc vào Nam. Và những người nhạc sĩ ở miền Bắc thì là họ năng động. Thành ra họ mới làm chương trình này, chương trình kia, họ trình diễn, họ được tự do, viết theo cái mà họ muốn. Nhờ đó mà có những tác phẩm lớn. Trường ca Mẹ Việt Nam của Phạm Duy, trường ca Hội Trùng Dương của Phạm Đình Chương, Hòn Võng Phu của Lê Thương. Đó là những cái tác phẩm lớn mà đâu có ai đặt hàng để cho họ làm. Vì tâm hồn, vì cái tình gắn bó với quê hương. Khác là với miền Bắc. Miền Bắc không được làm như vậy, chỉ theo đơn đặt hàng thôi. Đơn đặt hàng đó là hùng hục, cổ suý chiến tranh.
In 1953, 20-year-old Lê Văn Khoa plays in a band whose musical programs are broadcast weekly on French Asian radio and on Vietnamese national radio. He is also the pianist for the Nordum Theatre Talent Show from 1954 to 1955.
Từ 1952-53 thì tôi đã có những tác phẩm âm nhạc được trình diễn trên đài phát thanh quốc gia Việt Nam. Rồi tôi có gửi ở 2 tác phẩm dự một cuộc thi sáng tác nhạc toàn quốc, lúc bây giờ phải gửi ra Hà Nội để thi. Năm 1953 thì tôi được tin là tôi trúng giải thưởng cả 2 tác phẩm. Bây giờ mình muốn đưa nhạc Việt mình đi thì mình phải làm sao để mà hòa đồng được với thế giới. Cho nên tôi ngừng, tôi không viết ca khúc nữa và tôi chuyển qua để viết đại hợp ca với dàn nhạc giao hưởng.
He then sat as composer and conductor of the Adventist and Trung Dương choirs, who performed on Vietnamese television, at the French Cultural Center, and the Vietnamese American Association. Lê Văn Khoa wrote many songs that reflected the damages of war. In his song cycle, Vietnam, My Beloved Country, Lê Văn Khoa mourns the destruction of his beautiful homeland. Let Your Tears Flow, another song cycle, depicts the fate of a people devastated by war, and Sunrise on My Fatherland voices his optimism towards a brighter future. 3 musicians of South Vietnam, Phạm Nghệ, Vũ Thành, and Lê Văn Khoa, spearheaded a project for the Vietnam Music Institute to work with the existing National Conservatory of Music. Their project was submitted to the government for approval.
Cái ý kiến đó là của nhạc sĩ Phạm Nghệ. Ông là người miền Trung, Vũ Thành là người miền Bắc, tôi là người miền Nam. Ông Phạm Nghệ muốn kết hợp lại để mà thực hiện, lập một cái nhạc viện. Là chúng tôi sẽ liên lạc với các nhạc viện thế giới để gửi những cái nhạc sinh giỏi đi ra ngoài học. Hy vọng rằng họ sẽ trở về để cho các nhạc sinh trẻ của Việt Nam có cơ hội hấp thụ được những cái hay hơn. Thành ra lập dự án rồi nộp Bộ Nội vụ. Khi họ chấp thuận thì là vào đầu 75 rồi. Lúc bây giờ mình đã bắt đầu di tản, chúng tôi cũng không dám xúc tiến thêm.
Their efforts for the development of South Vietnam's conservatory were cut short on the nation's darkest day, April 30th, 1975. Under the dire circumstances, Lê Văn Khoa decided to leave Vietnam.
Mình phải đi, và mình khi đi ra ngoài được thì mình phải tìm cách làm sao để cho thế giới biết tới Việt Nam của chúng ta. tôi có viết một cái bài nhạc cho độc tấu dương cầm lấy cái tên là Đêm Việt Nam. Tôi muốn nói nó cũng như người mẹ Việt Nam ru con đang ngủ nhưng mà rồi bị chiến tranh đánh thức. Nhưng sau đó thì bà mẹ lại an ủi, những đứa con còn sống hãy an ngủ, những đứa con đã chết cũng nằm yên. Và nhiều người họ cho cái bài Đêm Việt Nam của tôi đó là cái dấu hiệu báo trước cho cái tác phẩm Symphony Vietnam 1975.
In 1985, Lê Văn Khoa suffered a tragic heartbreak when his father passed away in Vietnam. Halfway across the world and unable to return home, he channeled his unspeakable grief into Symphony Vietnam 1975.
Tôi viết cái Symphony Vietnam 1975 để nói là cái giai đoạn lịch sử của dân tộc Việt Nam chúng ta. Từ một Việt Nam thanh bình, rồi bị Cộng sản đến, chiến tranh loạn lạc, rồi có những hình ảnh diễn tả cái bão tố của những người vượt biên. Họ gặp bão tố, họ gặp cướp biển vân vân. Và cuối cùng thì họ ca ngợi tự do khi đến đất nước tự do. Khi mà tôi nhờ cái ban hợp ca bên Ukraine hát để làm nền, họ biết được ý nghĩa của bài này và họ xin được dịch ra tiếng Ukraine để họ hát. Vì họ cũng đã bị ách đô hộ của Nga trên 70 năm. Cho nên khi họ thoát được ách Nga thì họ rất vui để mà họ cũng ca ngợi tự do như chúng ta.
It's a beautiful piece, and it tells a very beautiful story, like all the great symphonies do. It tells a story in music of real people and real time in history. And you can hear the music develop from a very happy folk music at the beginning and a proud nation to a very bleak period of communist invasion. And you can hear the music change. It becomes very modern and very stark. There are lots of very almost unsettling sounds, very strident notes and big gaps in the music, like a country's broken. society. And then in the final movement, this great hymn to freedom unfolds, and the chorus sings this beautiful hymn, which is a celebration of a new life and a celebration of a new country and a new beginning. And it's
Dr. Nguyen Chong Hung, a graduate of the National Conservatory of Music before the fall of Saigon, shares his thoughts on Symphony Vietnam 1975. With the creation of Symphony Vietnam 1975, composer Le Van Khoa has shown us he is a master and innovator. He has melded Western and Eastern instruments and sonorities, giving them equal roles within the symphony orchestra. So in 2005, Symphony Vietnam 1975 was performed and recorded by the Kiev Symphony Orchestra in Ukraine. On October 22, 2005, at Melbourne Town Hall in Victoria, Australia, conductors Andrew Wales and Le Van Khoa directed the Royal Melbourne Philharmonic Orchestra and Vietnamese Community Chorus in a program commemorating 30 years since the Vietnamese exodus. In 2010, the Kiev Symphony Orchestra toured the United States under the baton of Matthew McMurrin and Le Van Khoa. They performed Khoa's compositions in a commemorative 9/11 concert near the nation's capital called An Ode to Freedom on September 11, 2010. With his role as advisor to the Pacific Symphony Orchestra, Le Van Khoa became better known in American media. Orchestras began to perform his music, including the Pacific Symphony Institute Orchestra, 1995, and the Pacific Symphony Orchestra, 1996 to 1998.
We are so blessed in our city to have him because there is no one who has made more of a contribution to the arts, the theater arts, musical arts, and also to photography. Personally, one of the things that I find so inspirational is all of the work that he has done for years with our younger students. And he has awakened in their hearts a love of music and a love of photography that they might not otherwise have had happen. And he has been so nurturing to our young people and also to the wonderful artists that we have in this community.
He did all volunteer things in the theater with his music for us and helped me develop this theater. And I know he's a very famous man. He's been all over the world, received honors everywhere. And as the mayor, I honored him also. One of our citizens donated money to help me build the theater. So we named the art gallery after her family. And we had no photographs. And Mr. Khoa came forth and donated these beautiful photographs for us to display. It was a great donation.
Ông đã đem nghệ thuật Việt Nam lên.
He has brought Vietnamese arts and music to an international level through performances and expositions, so talents of the Vietnamese can be shared with the world. The city of Westminster thanks him for his practical contributions in helping future generations understand the aspirations and concerns of previous generations.
Mr. Lee is integral in getting the Vietnamese American Philharmonic Orchestra on its feet here in the United States, and we're so proud to have it based in Westminster and to be able to host this orchestra here at the Rose Center Theater. I have worked with him very closely in many capacities because I do manage the theater, of course, in the management area, but as a musician, he has been just wonderful to work with. His musical talent just really knows no bounds, and it's so wonderful to have someone so accomplished in our community and working for the good of all of Southern California, but especially here in Westminster. Mr. Khoa Lee does so many of the arrangements for the symphony, arrangements that really no one else in the world could do because he's able to combine the traditional Vietnamese melodies along with symphony orchestra orchestrations and into some beautiful pieces and pieces that would never be heard anywhere else except here on our stage. So we're very, very fortunate to have his talent with us.
But we rarely see somebody who helps elevate Vietnamese music to the caliber of symphony orchestra quite like Le Van Khoa. That great effort should be treasured and encouraged, so Le Van Khoa's music, enriched with traditional Vietnamese melody, will eventually be heard by music lovers all around the world.
Một người nhạc sĩ mà tôi đã trân trọng và tôi thấy ảnh là một người đã sống.
Le Van Khoa is a musician whom I respect a lot. He is an honest person who has devoted his whole life to music with no incentive for financial benefit. He has a great heart and a great love for his country, which is best shown in his Symphony Vietnam 1975. Le Van Khoa's music debuted in 1975 at Loma Linda University in California. He continued to write choral arrangements of traditional Vietnamese songs, featuring instruments ranging from piano to orchestra. In 1980, the Thuy Dương Quartet with Chun Chuk became the first choral group Khoa conducted in America. With the establishment of the Ngan Khoi Chorus in 1987, performances of Vietnamese music were better organized and began to flourish.
Nếu mà nói về cái sự cộng tác với Lê Văn Khoa,
The Ngan Khoi Chorus is an inseparable component of Le Van Khoa's contributions. 29 years ago, we founded the choir primarily in order to revive the old activities. We gathered many people, including conductor Chun Chuk, and of course Le Van Khoa, who was a major contributor to the choir. In 1990, our first concert was given with his collaboration entitled Vietnam, Our Beloved Motherland. It was a very successful concert.
nghĩ rằng mình làm sao phải nuôi dưỡng ở trong cái giới trẻ cái tư tưởng để mà lớn lên họ có thể làm được những việc lớn. Cho nên tôi cũng có dạy nhạc cho mấy em nhỏ. Và hiện bây giờ thì có một em 12 tuổi, một em 11 tuổi bắt đầu sáng tác nhạc.
The Ukrainian and Vietnamese connection of oppression inspired Le Van Khoa to arrange Vietnamese folk songs for the banduta, which were then performed with an orchestra in the style of a concerto. Le Van Khoa's goal of fusion between Eastern tonalities and traditional orchestral instruments took another leap forward when he began arranging Vietnamese folk music to be played on the banduta. The banduta, a plucked string instrument resembling a lute, has intrinsic ties to the history and culture of Ukraine. In the 19th century, banduta players could become kobzars after receiving special training. These kobzars, often blind from childhood, would travel from town to town singing dumwe, a poem song, to promote the Ukrainian national cause. During the occupation of Ukraine, the Poles banned Ukrainians from using the banduta. When Ukraine was forced to be a part of Soviet Union, the Russians drew the same conclusion that this national instrument was a threat to their power. In 1933, Joseph Stalin held a conference in Kharkiv calling upon all Ukrainian kobzars to attend. Those who did were executed. My name is Taras Stolyar. I am a banduta player. We have just recorded with the Kiev Symphony Orchestra. The banduta is a national Ukrainian instrument, and I am here performing a kind of a Vietnamese folk song arranged by Le Van Khoa. The banduta's sound was very organic here. There are not many Ukrainian composers who would dare to use the banduta so interestingly. Moreover, it has to produce sounds which are very close to traditional Vietnamese music. I am a professional bandura player. The art of Le Van Khoa was totally different because it was a combination of European and Eastern music. First of all, I was impressed with the use of Southeast Asian tonalities when applied to the bandura, something very uncommon in our repertoire. This application has served as a step forward towards the unification of two cultures through music. In 2010, Ukrainian artist Katerina Myronyuk performed Vietnamese folk music on the bandura in Washington, D.C., accompanied by a symphony orchestra and conducted by Le Van Khoa. Today, Ukraine, a land of revival, of religious and musical development, has repeatedly welcomed Le Van Khoa to their country. He has made numerous recordings there and has donated his books to music schools in Kiev. Through Le Van Khoa's relationship with the Kiev Symphony Orchestra, Vietnam Film Club visited Ukraine in 2012 and recorded the Republic of Vietnam's national anthem for its documentary, Soul of Vietnam, Vietnamese National Flag and Anthem. In September of 2016, Le Van Khoa traveled to Kiev to record another installation of his compositions. At that time, Vietnam Film Club traveled with him to interview some of Ukraine's most successful conductors, performers, researchers, and music professors. These interviews show us how Lê Văn Khoa's musical outreach has touched the hearts of people in different parts of the world. This music by Lê Văn Khoa won my heart. It was a great discovery for me because all the power and greatness of Vietnamese people was revealed in his music of this particular symphony. The way he captured the turmoil of the Vietnamese War and the struggle of the people was incredible. He vividly expresses the pain of war on the pages of his symphony to such an extent that it deserves broad recognition. I have had the honor of meeting Vietnamese composer Lê Văn Khoa and have collaborated with him for a number of years. We have recorded some of his CDs together, including one piano album. Why was this set of pieces interesting to me? It was composed in a tonality not typically used in our music. While pentatonic scales are germane to the Vietnamese, I had never heard of pieces composed for pianists that exuded such a fun and uniquely Asian style, while maintaining the authentically classical discipline. I have performed many of his pieces of music. Within Khoa's skill set lies a great diversity. He is a prolific composer. There are instrumental solos, solo instruments with orchestra, songs for choir, and piano duets. It has been an honor to perform his work, and his music is extremely warm and kind. It goes deep into the heart. I really wish to convey to Ukrainian and American listeners that Lê Văn Khoa has a big heart and a deep love for his country. There is one important detail about his creative work. He is very good at discerning the language of music. This language, of course, has no borders, and so our Ukrainian and Vietnamese nations unite. I was greatly impressed with the music we were recording in that studio in Kiev. A top-tier orchestra was put together in order to do this project. We are very happy that your group came here to record beautiful pieces where Lê Văn Khoa used the most ancient Ukrainian music instrument, bandura, which originated from kobza by adding an extra set of strings. I remember the days of my youth when the tragic and bloody war between the North and the South was taking place in Vietnam. Unfortunately, democracy did not win then, but I think the development of your nation will reach the point where you will overcome the powers of the evil and start following the path you walked on in the past centuries. I will pray to God for you. I am an established violinist in Ukraine. I am very thankful that fate brought me together with such a wonderful musician and composer such as Lê Văn Khoa. He is an amazingly versatile person with so much knowledge and is very highly spiritual. His pieces include all his knowledge and experience from the different people he has worked with. When you face his music, you will see its depth, a source of the great emotional experience of spiritual oneness. Everyone will find something new in his music.
Trời ấm u dần lan lan chùm không gian quê hương ấm tiếng xuống thét lên kinh hoàng. Từ thôn quê từ đông tây miền Anh sang cùng vang lên lời kêu than đau đớn hãi hùng lầm than khốn cùng nhà tan nước mắt dân ngày đêm ta than.
In his efforts to introduce Vietnamese music to the world, Le Van Khoa has used different genres, arrangements, and instrumentations. Categories of Le Van Khoa's music. Songs. Religious music for children, violin solo, cello solo, flute and orchestra, piano solos, piano duets, quartet, orchestra, music for children. Professor Andrea Bambace, concert pianist and professor for Conservatorio Monteverdi Bolzano in Italy, and adjudicator for international piano competitions, commented, "The piano solo Beautiful Bamboo by composer Le Van Khoa is very, very interesting and soothing. I was attracted right away because it is artistically moving."
Tôi không nói anh là nhạc sĩ mà tôi nói anh là nhạc sư chứ không phải là nhạc sĩ. Tại vì nhạc sĩ chính là giống như tôi chỉ biết dạy nhạc thôi, còn anh ấy là ngồi sáng tác ra làm thành những bài giao hưởng rất là công phu. Anh Lê Văn Khoa đã phối hợp những bài dân ca Việt Nam, đặc biệt là dân ca quan họ Lý Cày Đa, Xe Thị Đồ Kim và luôn cả những bài dân ca miền Nam là Lý Ngộ, đem cái nhạc ngũ cung đi vào lòng vào trong nhạc Tây phương, chứng tỏ rằng anh là một người hướng về dân tộc, không những là cho thế hệ của chúng ta mà luôn cả thế hệ sau này.
In a cozy California home, Lê Văn Khoa's family members have always been an especially close-knit network, supporting each other in all their endeavors. His wife of 40 years, singer Ngọc Hà, accompanies him to all photography exhibitions and musical performances. One of his 6 children, Kim Lee, follows his path and teaches music. She also owns Pacific Foundation for the Arts, a non-profit organization which allows her to help young musicians who are unable to afford the lessons they desire, as her father once was.
Hi, my name is Kim Lee, and I'm the owner of Pacific Conservatory. We're a small music school in Orange, California. I've decided to become a musician like my father, Lê Văn Khoa. When I asked him, after a few years of college, if this is really what I should be doing, he said to me, if you want to go into this, you have to go into music with your entire heart, your mind, your body. You have to feel it in your bones. And if this is indeed what you want to do, you must listen keenly and always look ahead. You have to expect no rewards, but demand great results.
The Vietnam War claimed millions of lives from both parts of the country. The end of the war also meant a second diaspora, where millions fled the specter of communism. More than 500,000 died in their quest to freedom. After facing permanent separation from his motherland, Lê Văn Khoa began a mission to preserve and promote the Vietnamese culture. Lawyer Phạm Kim Vinh authored a book on Lê Văn Khoa, commenting that Khoa has turned photography, music, cinema, and educational work into weapons that defend the honor and culture of the Vietnamese people. Lê Văn Khoa has devoted a lifetime of work to the understanding and tolerance of Vietnamese culture in America. He uses photography, music, and film to forge a better understanding between Eastern and Western cultures. He has been recognized for his contribution on the education of youth through his Vietnamese television shows and for his orchestral compositions, which have been performed worldwide. One of Lê Văn Khoa's ambitions for the future is that young Vietnamese musicians are taught to preserve and disseminate the essence of Vietnamese culture to all parts of the world.
It's very important to him to make sure that even our young get that cultural awareness that they so need in order to grow up to be better citizens and better musicians all the way around.
Old age has not been a hindrance to his composition, and Khoa still attends concerts, book signings, photography exhibitions, and master classes. Lê Văn Khoa's contributions to his country in arts and culture, a journey spanning over 60 years, can be summarized into 2 categories. His concerns for younger generations, from orphans to art-loving children, and his ideal that Vietnamese music should transcend the borders of a country and should reach all parts of the world.
Tôi xin khuyến khích các bạn trẻ nên làm với tâm hồn của mình, mà đừng nghĩ tới cái lợi nhuận. Chấp nhận một cái sự thua thiệt để mà mình có một cái thắng lợi lớn hơn cho dân tộc của chúng ta.
Today, at the age of 85, Lê Văn Khoa is still pursuing those 2 tenets. He advocates for the youth and for Vietnam. Le Van Khoa has often dreamt of what life would be like if he were to return to his homeland. In his heartbreaking song, I Shall Return, he reflects upon the quiet dreams of Vietnamese people all around the world.